perspectives reflect anti-white racism, not necessarily Marxism. It's closer to anti-white philosophies than Marxism. People keep conflating both of them.
Oh yeah, and it's completely ridiculous where you'll have some BLM activist or something talking about white America and talking about how all the institutions are racist and talking about how we need to do all these things to make that reflect a certain racial point of view. And then it goes to the conservative response and he starts babbling about tax cuts or something. They don't understand. It's either they don't understand or what I think is more likely, they are afraid to engage on this terrain. Having worked in the conservative movement for more than a decade, I think I can speak with some authority as to the mindset of the typical Conservatism Inc. staffer. And they don't want to admit that these things are real. Sam Francis, to paraphrase him, he said whites are being attacked on racial grounds, not because we're Christians or conservatives or capitalists or whatever else. It's because we're white. And therefore, we have to meet this challenge on racial grounds. The conservative response is basically we need to meet this challenge on anything other than racial grounds. So everything becomes about Marxism, everything becomes about socialism, and this is completely irrelevant to what's happening on the ground, especially considering that when you look at who funds BLM, it's precisely, JP Morgan and BlackRock and Amazon and Nike and every major corporation in America you can think of. And so you have these economic elites funding a race-based movement. And the American conservative response is actually, we need to do more to defend these corporations because they're under threat from socialists. And they might mutter something vaguely about woke capital, but they really don't have any plan as to what we need to do.
McDonald's is a big example of a woke capitalist.
Who is that?
McDonald's.
Oh, yeah. 365 Black. I mean, that was their campaign for a long time. And, it's kind of, it's actually, there was a time when I found this funny, and it's really not. It's actually quite sad. There's almost like a whole genre of these videos. You'll see somebody say 365 Black, and then you'll just cut to some McDonald's in the inner city, and there's always these brawls and shootings and craziness going on where these people are just, wailing on each other, killing each other. And that is the reality of certain Black communities in this country. And we kind of paper over it with this happy talk about diversity and inclusion. But the fact is that these communities are being destroyed. I wouldn't even call them communities, no matter how much they invoke that word. And woke capital really, and the conservative insistence on only seeing things in economic terms, really prevents us from dealing with these problems that affect all Americans, Black and white.
Yes, conservatives are delusional and often succumb to the emotionalism of liberals. So, for example, Kamala Harris was a prosecutor. What is the job of a prosecutor? To ensure that criminals